Welcome to the next section. Using PostgreSQL. While MySQL is popular, PostgreSQL is another powerful enterprise-level relational database often preferred for its robustness, advanced features, and strict adherence to SQL standards. We will quickly demonstrate that the core process for connecting and performing CRUD operations from Python is highly consistent, regardless of the database you use. 1. Why PostgreSQL? PostgreSQL, often simply called Postgres, is known for handling complex queries, massive amounts of data, and providing exceptional reliability. It is widely used in mission-critical applications. Understanding how to connect to both MySQL and PostgreSQL makes you much more versatile as a developer. 2. The consistent Python workflow. Regardless of whether you use MySQL, PostgreSQL, or another database, the Python workflow follows the same steps. 1. Install the appropriate connector library. 2. Establish a connection object. 3. Create a cursor object. 4. Execute SQL via the cursor. 5. Commit write operations. We will simply replace the MySQL.connector library with the PostgreSQL connector, PostgreSQL. 3. Section Roadmap. We will set up the PostgreSQL server and its graphical client, pgAdmin. We then install the specialized Python connector, PostgreSQL, set up a database, and perform the essential connect, insert, and fetch operations to prove the concept. To summarize, we are ready to work with another database. The first step is to get the PostgreSQL server installed on your machine. Our next lecture 29.02. Install PostgreSQL server. See you there. Welcome back. We have the PostgreSQL server installed and the pgAdmin client ready. The next crucial step is installing the official Python library that allows our code to communicate with the PostgreSQL database, PostgreSQL. 1. Introducing PostgreSQL. This library is the most popular PostgreSQL adapter for the Python programming language. It is a robust and widely used connector that implements the Python DB API, or Database API, standard. This means that once you learn how to connect and use a cursor with one database, you already know the general process for all others. 2. Installation command. Open your terminal. We will use the pip3 install command. Note that we are using the PostgreSQL-binary package. This version is precompiled and easier to install across different operating systems, avoiding potential compilation errors you may encounter with the regular PostgreSQL package. 3. Verifying the installation. To ensure the library is correctly installed, run a test script and try to import the module. Import PostgreSQL. If the import statement executes without raising an error, you are good to go. This confirms the bridge between Python and PostgreSQL is ready. To summarize, all our tools are in place. Our next lecture 29.05, set up the database. See you there. Welcome back. Now that our PostgreSQL server and the PostgreSQL connector are ready, we use the pgAdmin graphical tool to structure our environment. We need to create a new database and a simple table. 1. Creating the database. Open pgAdmin and connect to your local server. Right-click on the databases node in the Object Explorer and select Create, then Database. Name your new database PythonDB. This action saves us from running a create database query manually. 2. Accessing the SQL editor. Once the database is created, click on it, and then click the Query tool icon. often represented by a sheet of paper with a magnifying glass or a tiny SQL icon. This opens the SQL editor, ready for us to define our table. 3. Creating the products table. We will create a table named products to store a few items. The SQL syntax is very similar to MySQL. Note the PostgreSQL specific data type, serial. This handles the auto-incrementing integer key automatically, equivalent to auto_increment in MySQL. We define ID as serial primary key, name as varchar, and price as numeric for accurate currency storage. To summarize, our PostgreSQL database is structured and ready. The final step is switching back to Python to connect and insert our first record using the PostgreSQL connector. Our next lecture 29.06, Connect and Insert. See you there. Welcome back. The database is set up, the connector is installed. Let us now connect to PostgreSQL using PostgreSQL and perform our first CRUD operation, create or inserting new data. 1. Connecting to PostgreSQL. We import PostgreSQL. Notice that the connection parameters are almost identical to MySQL, just with different names: DB name, the default Postgres user, and the default port 5432. We use the PostgreSQL.connect parenthesis function to establish the connection, which gives us the CONN object. We immediately create the cursor object from it, which we will use for execution. 2. Inserting data with placeholders. The SQL query syntax is standard insert into. Just like in MySQL, we use the %s placeholder for safe parameterized queries. We define our data as a tuple, product_data, ensuring the price is a float or integer that matches the expected numeric type in the table. We execute the query by passing the SQL string and the data tuple to cursor.execute parenthesis. 3. Committing the change. As an insert operation, the change is only staged until we call conn.commit parenthesis. This is standard database behavior and applies equally to PostgreSQL. After committing, the new record is permanently stored in the products table. To summarize, you have successfully connected to and inserted data into PostgreSQL from Python. Our next lecture 29.07, Fetch Data. See you there. Welcome back. In our last lesson, we successfully connected to PostgreSQL and inserted a record. Now, we complete the demonstration by performing the read operation, fetching the data back to Python. You will see that the logic is exactly the same as with MySQL. 1. Inserting more sample data. To make the fetch operation meaningful, let's insert a couple more records using pgAdmin or by rerunning the code from the previous lecture with different data. This ensures we have a few rows for fetch all to retrieve. 2. Executing the select query. Back in Python, assuming the connection and cursor are open, we define a standard select query. We use order by IDASC to ensure the records are returned in the order they were inserted. We send the query to PostgreSQL using cursor.execute parenthesis. 3. Retrieving and processing data. We use cursor.fetch all parenthesis, which, identical to MySQL, returns the result set as a list of tuples. Each tuple represents a row from the products table. We iterate through the list and print each record. Finally, we must close the cursor and connection, concluding our operations with PostgreSQL. To summarize, you now have experience connecting to and manipulating data in two major relational database systems, MySQL and PostgreSQL. In the next section, we shift gears dramatically to the world of NoSQL with MongoDB, where we will work with flexible JSON-like documents instead of rigid tables. Our next lecture 30.01, Mongo Introduction. See you there.